All right, so let's continue with conditionals and loops. Remember this intro to programming in Python. We're going to be covering this sections. Now we'll, the notes here, or the slides, look at various sections. Conditionals, the if statement, loops, the while statement, an alternative for loop, the do while loop, nesting, and debugging. So do while we don't actually cover too much, we use too much. There are certain cases where we use it, but mostly we don't use the do while much. So let's continue. Context. So basic building blocks for programming. What have we done so far? Well, we have done primitive data types. We've done assignments, x equals y and x equals 1, assignments and statements, z equals x plus y, for example. We've done some math equations. We play around with text and inputs and IO. The next level for our building blocks for programming is conditionals and loops. So conditionals and loops, the control flow, very important part of programming. The sequence of, or a control loop is a sequence of statements that are actually executed in a program. Conditionals and loops enable us to choreograph, to control the flow based on what state or what condition you want. So a simple example that I might have here, just in a day-to-day example, I'm going to write this in pseudocode or just in comments. So when you wake up in the morning and you go outside, for example, there is a condition you first have to, for example, before I go outside, check the weather. Check the weather. This is a condition. Check the weather. Okay. If it is raining, put on a raincoat. If it is, if it is sunny, wear sunscreen, for example. Wear sunscreen, whatever you want to call it. So this is a conditional statement. You don't just go outside and just put in a raincoat. There is a condition related to this. And this, in the same way, we use this in programming as well. So on the left-hand side, we have statements. This is a, statements that go one after the other, just like a recipe in a cookbook. Statement 1, 2, 3, 4, follow each of these steps. But in real life, you need to control the flow of the statements, the method, for example. So here we have something called a Boolean, and a Boolean is what checks the condition. For example, when it was raining, it actually checked the condition, is this true? If this is true, or is it false? The words true and false fall under Boolean logic, and these two words are used throughout programming. In the same sense, if it is sunny, also check if this is true or false. And then based on if it's true or false, we will do certain things. If it's true, then put in a raincoat. Otherwise, check if it's sunny. If that's true, wear sunscreen. If false, then don't. Right? So, you can elaborate on very simple real-world conditions. So in coding, we call this Boolean logic. Something's true or something's false. If it's true, do something else. Statement 3. If false, do maybe another condition. And check if it's check the weather, or however you want to check that. And if that statement true, do statement 2. If it's false, then do statement 3. So we'll see some examples of this shortly. So again, conditionals fundamentally are based on two keywords in programming, which is true and false. Do I turn left or do I turn right? All right. So if you Google Maps, for example, and you want to maybe take a shortcut, based on your conditions, you would go left if it's true, false, go right. So our first conditional is called the if statement. right? And this is true for, I mean, what we're covering is true for all programming languages. So the if statement is a common branching structure. It evaluates a Boolean expression, Boolean as in true or false. If true, execute a statement. Else, if it's false, execute a different statement, right? This is what Boolean looks like. So if a Boolean expression is true, statement is true, then do this, else do another statement if for false. Here is a simple example from the coding Princeton Intro to Computer Science for Python. Simple example. We will test this now. We can create a new file called ops. This is, let me do a different one. Conditions of Python. So we have a program. If try to zoom this in a little bit. Get this away, I can zoom it in. If x is bigger than y, temperature is equal to x, x is equal to y is equal to 10. Anatomy of this is like the anatomy of a conditional statement. If, for example, I said do assignments x is equal to 100, y is equal to 50. Is this true? Firstly, I start with this if statement, and then I do my comparison with the two variables, x and y. So x is currently 100 and y is 50. So this is true because 100 is bigger than 50. I specify colon after my expression, and this jumps into a code block. You can see my assignments all happen after indents over here, because this is unique to this condition, this control flow. It does not happen outside this code. It's only unique to this condition. Once this condition is met, we can do something else, like import standard IO, and then do I use like standard write condition met, something like that. So this is unique to this condition. So again, this is just to show you the anatomy of how if statement works. And on the right-hand side here, we have another diagram of showing how if Boolean expression is a true or false, do two separate things. So I wanted to do maybe a bit of simpler example just to help you understand this. So like weather.py. So we look at example to import standard IO. So temperature, this can be like 50, maybe 70. No, that's a bit hard to make it. Let's make it 30. So if the temperature is bigger than 30, this means it is warm. Then I'm going to just say, do not take jacket. Right, it's warm. I don't need a jacket. Do not take jacket. Else, if the statement is false, as in the temperature is less than that, then it might be cool. Maybe take a jacket with. So say send the right line. Do take a jacket. Something like that. This is trivial and silly, but this shows you, how this works. Run this code. We can say Python as a weather. See what the answer is. Do take a jacket. Is temperature is 30. We'll have to specify it maybe a bit better. Let's say if it's 40 degrees, very hot, and run the code again, then I would say that. So, a simple example is run that do not take a jacket is about 40 degrees, so it's super hot. Do not take a jacket. If it's maybe like 10 degrees, you can run it. Sorry, change the wrong condition. Temperature 10 degrees, then run it again. Do take a jacket. It's going to be cold, so do take a jacket. So it's a simple real world example of how it works. And again, here is a template of Boolean statements and expressions. This was from the notes from Princeton course. This description introduces a formal notation known as a template that we will use to specify the format of Python constructs. We put within angle brackets a construct that we have already defined. This is quite, this is very, very formal for describing this, which is useful to know, to indicate that we can use any instance of that construct where specified. In this case, a Boolean expression represents an expression that evaluates to a Boolean, such as one involving a comparison operation, and a statement represents a statement. Each occurrence may represent a different statement. It is possible to make formal definitions of Boolean expressions or statements, but refrain from going into that detail. Okay, so a bit complex, technical way of kind of explaining this, but useful to know. All right, so here is an example. We will try out the if statement example, which takes in 2 arguments. So let's write this out. Let's call it, create this file, if statement. All right, let's type this out. Import sys. So again, it's good practice, to actually write this out with me if you haven't done it already. It's practice either way. Your learning skills, memory, dedication to what you're doing. Typing is essential to improving your coding skills. So y equals int sys.arg b. Again, you should not just be listening, you should be typing and coding with me. Send it either the right line. And we have these expressions, so x is equal to, so we're doing some concatenation here, string of x plus, and then we have this expression before if this is L0. Okay, let's just copy and paste this line here. So I don't have to type it out. We're just going to change this one to y. Into y. And L. All right, it's Karen typing out the code. So try to move this along. So this is our condition, x is x bigger than y. We get a true or false for this statement. If it's true, then t equals x. This is L2. X is equal to y. This is L3. Y equals t. Equals t, and this is L4. So let me just copy this again here. So we'll type it out. X equals string x before, oh, this is after, so it's after we can take this away, after if, and it's like it's similar, just needs to be y. Just be y over here. This is y over there. Okay, that is our main function. Now let's write out our entry point for this Python file. Name. This is actually also a